British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Monday defended his government's reluctance to take in war refugees from Ukraine. Johnson said the UK will be as generous as possible, but cannot completely abandon security checks. Well, thousands of cases need to be processed, and the situation is constantly changing, Johnson added after meeting his Canadian and Dutch colleagues, that's Justin Trudeau and Marc Rutte. Johnson explained that there are two paths for the refugees: the theoretically unlimited possibility of family reunification or the humanitarian path. Criticism has been raised in recent days because the government in London initially only issued 50 visas to Ukrainian citizens as part of the family reunification program. According to official figures, more than 10,000 Ukrainians have now applied for British visas. And as I said, we have more in my city than in the whole of the UK. The government has gradually expanded the options for family reunification. They now apply to parents, grandparents, siblings, and the direct family of people who are already in the UK. On the humanitarian path, refugees can be supported by individuals, communities, or organizations. I still don't believe that. According to border guards, more than 1 million refugees from the neighboring country have arrived in Poland since the start of the war in Ukraine. On Sunday alone, 142,300 people crossed the border, the authority announced on Twitter on Monday. This was the highest number in one day since the war began on February 24th. About 90% of the refugees are Ukrainian citizens. The rest are nationals of countries around the world, said a spokeswoman for the border guard. There is currently the greatest rush at the Korsova border crossing, where 700 people were already waiting in the queue for pedestrian clearance in the morning. Motorists would have to wait up to 20 hours. The waiting times at the other border crossings are therefore shorter. Poland's government is planning a package of laws to help refugees from Ukraine. Among other things, the draft provides for refugees from the neighboring country to receive a residence permit for a period of 18 months, as Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said in Warsaw on Monday. During this time, they could start work. If necessary, the residence permit can also be extended by a further 18 months. It is also planned that the refugees will receive a temporary personal identification number, which will make it easier to deal with authorities and the state health system in Poland. Morawiecki said the bill also provides financial support for the many Polish citizens who are currently hosting Ukrainians. They can apply for a subsidy equivalent to around 250 euros per month for each refugee they take in. This will initially apply for a period of 2 months. Parliament still has to decide on the bill. More than 1 million refugees from the neighboring country, as I said, have arrived in Poland since the start of the Ukraine war. And many want to stay in the EU country because it's close to home. According to current figures from the UN refugee agency UNHCR, 1.7 million people have now left their homes, the organization said on Monday. That's a plus of 200,000 in one day. Millions more people would be uprooted in the coming days if this senseless conflict was not ended immediately. In view of the Russian war of aggression in Ukraine, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has also warned against condemning Russians across the board. It is very, very, very important to spread the message that we are not anti-Russian. We're not anti-Russian, Johnson said in London. We have a conflict with the regime and aggressions of Vladimir Putin, he said. The Conservative politician warned the public of a witch hunt against Russians in Britain. The British government, as I said before, has come under criticism for not implementing the sanctions imposed on Russian oligarchs consistently and quickly enough. Johnson announced on Monday that he would introduce further sanctions. According to the government is gradually working through a list of the oligarchs who have had little to fear, particularly in London. A draft law that was passed in the House of Commons on Monday that would significantly limit the opportunities for money laundering by letterbox companies. But there too, the opposition accuses the Johnson government of not acting decisively enough. And once again, to the refugee part. The EU is accepting everyone from the Ukraine coming in, and not some grandparent, sibling stuff, or whatever reasons you have to give for a humanitarian path. It's not the humanitarian path what they are doing. Have a look at what the EU is doing, Mr. Johnson, and do that. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.